Story 1. Entitled parent wants me to make him a sandwich. So, since I adopted my kid, she's been having lots of friends come around. And, of course, that means I am getting to meet the parents. So far, I've met 5 of Kay's friends' parents, most of which have been lovely people, and one I absolutely hate. There was another set of parents that we got off on the wrong foot, accidental racisms from them. And I recently had, we will say, the pleasure of meeting Kay's friend Ashley's father. Let's get on with the story time. Kay had her friend Ashley over for the night, and it makes me happy. Kay has really opened up in the last few months and is growing into a confident, friendly, bubbly, joyful person. Well, the day after, I didn't know it was Ashley's Father's Day with her, so he came to my house to pick her up. The girls weren't ready to leave yet. They still had to pick up their clothing and pack. So instead of making the father wait out in his car, I told him that they will still be there a few minutes and he's welcome to come inside and wait. I went ahead and tried to make the usual small talk, but he was instantly giving the creeper vibes. Mostly because of the line of questioning and phrasing he was giving. It was a lot of, "Do you live here alone? All by yourself? This is a terribly big place for such a small little girl." Referring to me as a little girl? I should come visit you sometime. Your place could use a man's touch. He basically treated my house as if it was his and just creeped on me big time. Well, this guy decided to literally tell me that, go and make me a sandwich for the road. He didn't say, "Hey, I haven't had anything to eat yet," and was not polite at all. The a-hole has demanded food from a stranger he just met while waiting for his kid. I thought he was making a bad joke, and I said, my English is not that good. Are you making a joke? And he flat out said, "No, I'm hungry. Go grab me a sandwich, doll." At this point, I'm ticked off. This literally is the most misogynistic man I have ever met in my life, and I was ticked. Did I say I was ticked off? Because I was ticked off, like ticked. So I put on my friendly, submissive Asian lady smile and said, "Okay, sir." I went to the kitchen and got out some really good roast beef. It was from a few days ago, and some really nice French bread, and made him a nice sandwich. I did add a healthy amount of ground Szechuan peppercorns, a nice glob of ghost pepper extract sauce I use for making super spicy chili, white pepper, and a fine spread of minced Scotch bonnet peppers. Packed it in a baggie, and luckily the girls were ready to go as I packed the sandwich. I handed it to him with a big smile and had a "Have a nice day, sir" smile as he walked out the door. I did immediately tell Kay to text her friend to not eat the sandwich and told her what was happening. Later that day, Ashley called Kay to say, "What did you do to my dad?" She was cry laughing on the call. No. The most ick for me is calling this woman doll. Doll? I mean, it's just the most on-the-nose word someone could say to let you see the red flag that they are objectifying someone. Doll? Story 2. Guy I work with never answers his email or phone, so I got my petty revenge. I do office work and have recently conducted several audits to get our files prepared for the new year. I realized a lot of employees were missing many items in their files. This was not anyone's fault because the company never had proper admin employees, so I was hired specifically to clean up files and ensure state and federal compliance. This employee, we'll call him Paul, works remotely and never answers his emails or phone. There was an audit I was working on and realized about 60 employees needed to sign a form, so 59 of them signed it within the week, and Paul never answered me. I called and emailed him for about 3 months until he finally sent it back. It's unfortunate that I have to keep an audit open for this long because of him. He has done this multiple times, though, and also missed 2 mandatory online classes that I conducted, so I had to jump through hoops for him to take the class. He's always the last one to complete anything that I ask of him. And it's quite unfair that I have to spend many hours calling and emailing him, all for a task that takes a lousy 5 seconds for him to complete. Anyway, we're ordering new shirts for the whole company because they met the sales goals. It's just a gift, and we understand that we can't make everyone happy. Maybe some don't like the color or the fabric, etc. So the owner made it very clear that we will send one to every address and there will be no returns or exchanges for any reason, because it's custom made and quite expensive, and also because it's a gift and not like a company uniform or anything. I spent many hours getting everyone's sizes and entering it into a spreadsheet. But guess who never responded? Paul. Although I've never met Paul in person, I've seen a photo and I would guess he's about 6'3" and around 300 pounds. So guess who ordered him an extra small size? Yeah. I am happy to be working remotely for what I do. I love it. But being this incommunicado with the company is just wrong. I mean, if I want to keep staying remote and being able to work, I really need to be able to keep up with the people that I work with and make sure everything is getting done and turned in on time. So even if it has to be compliance with just the smallest stuff, just answer it. Just make sure. I mean, I have communication set up to where I instantly know when someone's messaging me and not put it off. I want to keep the people I work with happy so I can continue doing this and continue working remotely. You get what you speak up about.
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 3. My manager had me leave the new girl waiting tables on her own, so I took her at her word. I, 17 female, am a waitress/server/cashier at a semi-local Italian chain. Not going to say which, but it's considered a specialty of the DMV area. I recently had to take a month off of work for health reasons since I was in the emergency room and then had to spend time in the hospital. While I was away, there were huge changes at my job, including new managers and 2 new employees. I've only been working there since last June, but I picked things up pretty quickly. Barring the first day, I had to deal with a packed dining room by myself while still in training. I'd messed up pretty badly with the computer system and needed the manager's help. Still, it happens. Yesterday, I met the new girl for the first time. It was her 3rd day, still in training. She's my age and a complete sweetheart. And as the dining room slowly became more and more packed, we made a great team. She had to practice working with the computers and talking to customers, while I took down the orders and showed her how everything worked. It was her first time properly serving there, and she really did great considering that, certainly at first. The other 2 people who were working were a manager and 1 other hourly employee. The managers at my job will also serve and work the counters. Basically, all waitresses have to do double the work, and we still get paid dirt, but that's another story. I was running between the dining room and the counters to try to keep up, although we can only serve max 2 people at the counters, picking up or placing orders at a time. It was to the point where my manager and her friend had bundled up and complained about how cold it was, while I was flushed, with my coat off, covered in sweat, cleaned myself up when dealing with food, of course. The manager and her friend were sitting down together, alternating between scrolling on their phones and talking, only getting up to answer the phones when they'd already rung 5 times 5+ times and having people wait at the counters to be helped for 10+ minutes. It was massively irritating, but I didn't have the time or energy to confront them. Well, about halfway through my shift, my manager told me that I can't just go in between the dining room and the counter, and if I didn't pick one or the other, she'd withhold my tips for both since I wasn't fully invested in either. Ouch. She gave me a choice on paper, but in reality, made it perfectly clear that I was stuck behind the counter and the new girl. The trainee was on her own. There was nothing I could really do, so I just stayed at the counter, though this was pretty slammed in and of itself, and I really could have used my 2 coworkers who were messing around on their phones. I didn't have time to answer phone calls, pack up orders, check people out, and take to-go orders all at once. And I had one particularly angry woman call me a lazy shrew for leaving her on hold for about 2 minutes. That stuck with me. While I was doing all this, the new girl was stuck with a packed dining room and no help. About 20 minutes into it, my manager approaches me looking both angry and sheepish. Basically, the trainee had messed up and charged the wrong orders to the wrong cards and needed help. Though the way she phrased this was, you don't have to stay by the counter the whole time. That's not what I meant. I looked over and could see her friend on her phone still, and the manager herself still had AirPods on and a show playing on her own phone screen. I responded in my sweetest, most respectful voice, "I'm sorry, but as we only get paid $10 an hour, my tips are too vital for me to forfeit them, so I'm going to stay put." Context: minimum wage is $15.65 where I live. She was floored, and instead of helping either of us herself, waddled back to her seat and resumed her show. Of course, I ended up checking in with the trainee and asked if she needed my help and if the mistake was sorted out. She said that she had things back under control and a lot of people dining in were headed out, which was great because the counter was still slammed. The kicker? This morning, apparently a customer called in and complained that the blonde girl, me, and the girl with the braids, trainee, were so busy that they were sweating while the 2 other women, manager and her buddy, were sitting on their phones. I only wish I saw her face when she heard about the complaint. Oh, I hope they find other work. It's about that point that you need to start looking for something else. I mean, things changed so badly. And again, this is a contrast to someone that is a manager who actually takes the time to work the positions they're managing to get a feel for what's going on. And these 2 just thinking they can just slack off. And no, managers is an active position. And really great that someone pointed out exactly who was working the hardest and who was not. This person deserves to be a manager, and those other 2 just deserve to not be there. Story 4. I'm leaving my boyfriend over a prank. I'm still a bit shaken up, so if this doesn't make much sense, I apologize. Trigger warning for self-unaliving. I, 18 female, have been with my boyfriend, 20 male, for almost 2 years. I moved in with him last August, and things have been pretty ricky. My whole life, I've struggled with mental health, specifically depression, anxiety, and self-harm. I've been clean for a while, though. I have a history of trauma, but I don't need to get into that. I made sure my boyfriend knew this when we started dating, because I wanted him to be able to nope out of the relationship if that was too much for him to deal with. He assured me it wasn't an issue. He never seemed to really get the whole mental health thing, though. He would make comments saying stuff like depression is just spicy sad, and people with trauma should just get over it. He also thinks that only veterans can get PTSD. I've tried explaining things to him, but he just brushes me off, so I do my best to ignore him. Recently, he's started watching a couple prank channels on YouTube, and he's started pranking me. At first, it was just small things like putting way too much flavor in my water or salt in a bite of my food. I laughed it off. It didn't really bother me. But then he started jumping out and scaring me. That kind of stuff really affects me sometimes because of my PTSD, and I tried to explain that to him. He would apologize, but do it again the next day. I was getting annoyed and frustrated, but I tried to let it be. Things escalated last week when he put some noisemakers under the toilet seat in the middle of the night. I woke up to go to the bathroom and sat down. Boom. It being late at night, me being half awake, and the loud noise all mixed together and gave me a full-blown panic attack. I was on the bathroom floor crying and having flashbacks. After I didn't know how long, I stopped crying and was just staring into space, having flashbacks. He came in because I guess he noticed I was gone for a while. When he saw me sitting on the floor, he remembered his little prank and started laughing. I just stared at him for a second, got up, and called him an a-hole. I slept in the living room for the rest of the night. The next day, I sat him down and I told him he cannot keep scaring me like this. No more jumping out at me. No more loud noises. He pretty much sighed and rolled his eyes, but he said he would stop. Everything was fine for a week. I thought this whole prank thing was finally over. Yesterday, I got home from being out with a friend, actually feeling better for the first time in a while. When I walked in the house, all the lights were off. So I assumed he was still at work, which isn't abnormal because sometimes he works late. I plugged my phone in because it died on my way back home. And when it powered on, I got a notification that he sent me a text. It just read, "So sorry. I love you." I replied saying, "It's okay. I'll see you when you get home. Love you." And I heard his phone ringing in the bathroom. That was weird, I thought. I got up to go get his phone, and when I got into the bathroom, I saw him lying in the bathtub. The bath was full of water. There was an empty bottle of pills on the sink, and he was covered in blood. His wrists were cut, and there was just so much blood. My heart just sank. I started having a panic attack. I was hyperventilating, crying, and I was just frozen. After a minute, I ran into the living room to get my phone to call 911, and I heard splashing and then laughter. I turned around to see him standing in the hallway just laughing. He said he got me, and I should have seen the look on my face. I don't even know how to describe the feeling I was experiencing. I was so mad and sad and scared. I didn't even say anything. I just walked out of the house. I just kept walking, and eventually I figured I needed to call my friend to come get me. At first, I didn't tell her what happened. I just told her I needed her to come get me. It was an emergency. She came and took me back to her house where I'm at now. My boyfriend keeps calling me, and he sent me some texts saying he was sorry, and it was just a joke, and I'm overreacting, and I need to come home. I'm not answering. I don't even know what I would say to him. My friend is going to go over to his house tomorrow to get his things when he's at work. She said I can stay with her however long I need. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just feel numb. You've done the first thing, separating yourself. We've all seen, as of this video, the situations happening with some people who are playing jokes on who think they're playing jokes on an entire country, and that entire country basically clapping back. And yeah. No, you don't do a lot of. I know there are some prank channels that are all staged. You need to have trust to make something like this work. I mean, some of this stuff is just staged, maybe, and he didn't even discuss this. This person thinks that all pranks are stuff that is surprising. I mean, this person could literally just be blocked if he's posting this stuff online because she didn't get permission to do this at all. Just sad. No. She did the right thing and got out of there. Completely. Story 5. My sister is turning into the biggest Bridezilla, and I can't stop laughing. So a little background. I am the second youngest of 5 kids. My older siblings are 2 brothers and 1 older sister, who we will call X for the purposes of this story. X and I have a 5-year age gap. As a result, we never really had that sisterly bond you would expect most sisters have. Growing up, I was always a burden to her, and anytime it was my turn to pick the family movie, or really anything, she would get upset. The reason being that she had control issues as early as 9. So I'm guessing you can already see where I'm going with this. I'm currently 18, about to turn 19. Woohoo! And X turned 24 earlier this year. Her boyfriend Y proposed to her at a family beach day earlier in June of this year. It was one of those big white letters and rose petals proposals which he set up before my family arrived. She was thrilled, said yes, and my parents were very happy along with my older siblings. The youngest is 4, so I don't think she understood what was happening. Now here's the drama. Since the proposal, she has gone into full Bridezilla mode. At the behest of my mom, X made me a bridesmaid, so I'm roped into all the hogwash. So far, these are the demands my dear sister has made. All bridesmaids are to pay for their own dress, a $300 dress in blush pink, shoes, hair, and makeup. All bridesmaids need to attend all wedding and bachelorette events, including A, the bachelorette spa day, $800 each, B, the bachelorette vacation weekend to Toronto and stay at the Fairmont Hotel, $1,000 weekend just for hotel, C, the dress appointments, even if just for the bride, all alterations covered by the person themselves, $300 dress plus approximately $300 alterations, etc. D, all things to do with weddings, cake, venue, catering, etc., they need to attend. The cake and food tasting, they all need to pay $25. E, the guests and the bridal groom party need to pay $150 to reserve their spots, and gifts have to be either cash, check, or from the list of registry items. She has a spreadsheet of what everyone is gifting and has said she will return items that aren't from her registry / match her theme. My mom says it's bride anxiety. I say it's just my sister trying to control everything because she wants a December wedding on a ski hill. Blah. Anyway, I figure if people are interested, I could update periodically on what happens. This needs to be a follow-up. I mean, I'm just looking at all this. So it's like 1,000, 1,800, 9, 10, like 2,000, 2025, like over $2,000 just for the privilege of being this Bridezilla's bridesmaid. And that doesn't even include the gift. Who is paying for all this? I mean, is this family poor? Is the family not pitching in for anything? I mean, who is paying for all this? I mean, I don't even think the groom is expecting the groomsmen to pony up for any of this stuff. Oh my goodness. Things are going to crash badly for this ceremony. Completely.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.